Hi there. You're watching the Gardens and Graveyards channel. Today we are in the garden and we're gonna get some fall planting done. So recently we went on a trip up and down the Oregon coast, and along our travels we picked up some plants. Of course we did. So we have a table full of plants. We'll show you what they are, and then we'll get them placed out and we'll show you where they ended up.
It would work.
Okay. So here we have our little plant stash. First of all, we picked up this absolutely beautiful rose, and we're not planting this one today. We need to make a decision about what we're doing with this rose, but this is the Oh My rose. It's 3 foot by 3 foot, and that's all it talks about. Some rose companies talk about how many petals or whatever.
You smell it and you'll understand where the oh my came from.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, the smell is different than a traditional rose smell. It's just, it's delicate,
but
sweet. It's kind of spicy a little bit.
Well, it's very noticeable though.
It's distinctly different than our other roses. All right, so the table. The big guys in the back. This is a a ginger wine 9-bark. It's a proven winners plant. I've been wanting one for quite some time. We planted another 9-bark down in the lower garden, the traditional green variety, and we're gonna plant this one down by that. This is a Durvilla. How do you say this? Durvilla. Kodiak black. It has normally has dark foliage. This is its fall color. It gets lighter and it gets dark. Well, it says it gets bright red, but I think it's just been kind of in shock. It's starting to defoliate. It was on the nursery clearance table, so we picked her up and we're gonna get that planted out. We have a couple of vine maples that have lost their leaves. Back here we've got a pine, we've got a ceanothus, a hosta, a variegated vinca, a begonia. Look at that. Isn't that a beautiful begonia? Are these more begonias? I think so. Oh no, these are dilettas, which these will just go in some containers and winter over. And then this is a phlox. We got 3 of these, and then a dahlia. Look, it's gonna open. How fun is that? And then we already put our other dahlia over in the dahlia patch over there that we picked up last week as well. So quite a few perennials and shrubs to get out into the garden. So we're gonna go place those.
Get ready. Let's get ready.
Do you need my help?
I'm trying to keep from tossing.
How mossy it is.
It's probably been in that pot a while.
Good. Where do we get this one? The 9-bark.
I don't recall. It was on that trip, right?
We must have gotten this at Laurel Bay.
Oh.
In Florence.
No. We didn't get this in there. Did you get it? Yeah, we did. It came at the same time we got all the other ones.
Yeah, the Durvilla is the only one that we got at the Dragonfly.
Right.
Something.
Gosh, sheesh. Mind blank, wow. Man. I just drew a total total blank page.
Yeah. I have to bring some soil over here, maybe.
Oh yeah.
This is all. Okay, so we got all of the shade-loving perennials and shrubs into the lower garden. And I just popped back up here to my table and started putting some of the sun-loving perennials out and realized that it's going to be a little bit more involved than I was expecting. So I'm not going to get to that today. I'm going to turn the camera around. I'll show you what I'm planning on doing with my sun-loving perennials and what we did with our shade-loving perennials. So we just haven't decided on where we're going to plant this rose, and we have some roses that we need to transplant and move around, so we're going to do that all together, get our rose gear on and take care of the roses. This little begonia is going to go in the backyard, and then these dahlias, the dahlias, are going to go in a container to overwinter by themselves. I'll probably put this in the container with it. I'm not sure. I have a bunch of container perennials that need to be transplanted out into the garden, so I kind of want to do all of my container perennial bulb things at a later date. This ceanothus needs to be cleaned up a little bit, and it's going to get put in an area that we've never planted before. So I just didn't want to deal with what that involves today. Okay, then we're going to pop on down the way here, and we do have our 2 dahlias that we're going to put in the garden. This dahlia we picked up in Tillamook at a dahlia farm. It's so beautiful, just absolutely gorgeous. I do want to put it here. This means I need to remove all the iris rhizomes and a bunch of this rose campium, so that's kind of an involved thing. Over here, I've got this dahlia that I'm going to put over here. I've got one other dahlia planted here, and then this one going in over here. We don't have any other dahlias in here. We do have gladiolas. Discussing whether or not we're going to lift our dahlias this year, because we don't need to lift our dahlias. We don't get cold enough to kill them off. They come up every year, but they do tend to bloom a little bit better if we lift them and store them. I don't know. We haven't decided on what we're doing, and if we are going to do that, then it'd be silly to plant those new dahlias up into the ground if I'm just going to pull them back out. So we need to make a decision about that before I plant the dahlias. We did get some planting done in the shade garden, so let's check out that. Okay, so now we're down in the shade garden, and the first thing that we have planted out here with our hydrangea, so this is a native hydrangea. This is a cutting off the hydrangea from upstairs that was here when I moved in. This is an oak leaf hydrangea. It's a panicle flower. And then we planted the Deervilla right here, which I think is going to be great. And then this is a Proven Winners mountain hydrangea. And I've got some earwig damage on it. I need to address that, which I'm not having that problem with these hydrangeas, so I think that's interesting. Anyhow, this plant gets a really dark black leaf, and we have dark purple heucheras right here, and then we'll have the dark purple black leaf Deervilla right there, and these bright green shrubs on each side. This Deervilla gets 5 foot wide. It'll fill in that space, and it gets 4 foot tall, so it'll be about the same height as all of these. So that'll be a really nice, beautiful shrub hedge. And it is deciduous, so it will lose its leaves. This one is deciduous. The broadleaf or macrophylla hydrangeas and the mountain hydrangea are semi-deciduous, so some years it will defoliate and other years it does not, depending on how cold we get. Back up a second. In here, I had angel wing, I think so. A perennial right here that was doing fine. But I really wanted this shrub here, and it would have been too much. I would have shaded this one out a little too much. So I moved it. Oh, not angel wing. Fairy bells. Fairy bells. So I moved these fairy bells over into the fairy garden, and we'll take a look at that in just a minute. I also cleaned up a bunch of woodruff. This is sweet woodruff. I took a bunch out of here and planted it out by the creek, and that's what this woodruff was just supposed to be holding over here until I could plant it at the creek. I just didn't have space to... I haven't put irrigation out in the creek, so I didn't want to lose my woodruff. So it's just kind of planted here as a placeholder. I did have to move some of my variegated saxifraga, which I really love this saxifraga in the back of this bed because it gives it some backlighting, some bright color in the back there. All right, so let's go through the mermaid garden here. Excuse my hose. We got everything all watered in. So we're gonna come back here and, oh look, I've got mushrooms growing up here. So this is typically the fairy garden. We did remove the summer village, the fairy summer village, for the season. We always put it away just because the escallonia drops tons of leaves. You can see the leaf litter on here is very thick, and it's just a matte, and it stays very wet. And we really don't typically come down in this area in the wintertime because it's so wet and cold. So it's just better to put the fairy garden away, and all the little teeny tiny things don't get lost in the leaf debris. Anyway, so that's been put away, but that is where our fairy garden normally is. And we put the fairy bells right up here. That is this plant right here. And I will cut it back. It's a perennial. It gets cut back, and then I think it's gonna really like it there. It already looks like it's at home, like it's been there the whole time in between the escallonia and the weigela, and it'll fill in that space really nice and have these beautiful fairy bell purple flowers. Okay, so then we are going to come through here, back through the mermaid garden, and down by the creek. Okay, so we've done some work down in here this summer. So the creek is right down here. I went ahead and I did plant, so this brighter colored woodruff was already there and not getting irrigation through the summer, so it's a little pale. I planted some down here underneath the willow. You could see a little bit of a darker green here. I also planted some right here. I planted, there's some Gaultheria there. Right through here, there is a mountain pepper, and I planted some woodruff right next to the mountain pepper. So you can see the little baby mountain pepper there. I'm really just trying to hold this bank in. It's very steep, and you know, erosion is taking place, so I'm just trying to get plants and ground covers in here to hold the bank. Right to the side here, we planted a Scots pine or Scotch pine, baby right there. It's grown like probably 8 inches in the past year. I got this as a little tiny pine for free. I got this little tiny pine for free last Christmas when we went to a Christmas bazaar in town. It's like a crafter's bazaar type thing for, and we bought our granddaughter a knitted hat and a couple of little cute things for Christmas. But I walked in and this woman was like, "Do you want a tree?" And of course I took it because it was a free plant. So it's been sitting out waiting for me to get it planted almost a year later. It's been 10 months, but it's gonna do great there. And I think it's gonna be a fast grower. It looks like it. The thing I wanted to point out about this pine, why I put it in this location, is it gets lots of sun from this direction. And so that'll be fine for it. There's a pine right here and a pine right here. And this birch tree right here is dying. So eventually that tree will come out and this will take its place, or less. All right, then the last 2 plants over here are vine maples. So I put one right there and I put one right there. There's just a couple of leaves still holding on. Vine maples are understory plants and they'll get about 8 to 10 feet tall underneath these pines, and so they'll get like about this tall, and then they spread like maybe 6 to 7 feet wide, so they might just barely touch. So there's one down there and there's one right there, and they'll just maybe barely touch. All right. Spencer is showing off how big our gunneria is. It's fun. It's later in the season than ever.
I think so.
For it to be up and still not totally wrecked. Another fun thing that's happening in this garden right now is the peanut butter tree is coming into bloom. This one is in bloom right there. It's really fun. The flowers smell like jasmine. The leaves smell like peanut butter. All right, then the very last plant is the 9 bark, which we planted right there. And our green variety is right here. A little bit harder to see with all the other types of plants. But it's this vase-shaped plant right here. This will get every bit as big. They'll both get a little bit bigger than this one. And then they will kiss. They'll touch for sure. And that'll fill in this whole space. I think it's going to be beautiful right there.
Beautiful.
We did plant it a little bit high, a couple inches high. First of all, we will be putting mulch in this area. And second of all, our gray water system comes right off of this space. It goes right by the gunneria, which is why it does so well. It loves that fresh, consistent water coming through all the time. And it goes through here, which is why we have rock, because it gets really soupy. And then it comes down and goes into the creek here. So it does stay moist, but it doesn't, even though it's on our gray water system, the soil was not like wet when I was digging in there or anything. So it's well draining, but it does stay moist. Yeah. And it will get a little bit more sun than this one because there's more open space, which is perfect for it because dark foliage needs a little bit more sun. Even though it can take shade, it wants sun to make that color deepen. All right, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope that you were inspired to plant some things out for fall. It is time, and we have so many more things to plant, but we're happy that we got this many done today. And I really love that we got so many shade-loving perennials and flowers going on. I think my shade garden is just coming together so well. You know, everybody always says it's so hard to garden in the shade, and well, it can be a challenge. It is a very satisfying challenge because you get to be creative and you have to play with texture, because texture and like variation and what is it called? Like colors, the colors of leaves, because there's not a whole lot of blooming available in the shade gardens. So you're really reliant on leaf color, leaf shape, leaf texture, more so than anything else. So I hope that you are celebrating your life, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.